This work any better? This work any better?
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
This is too much. This is too much.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Does Bruce have his on?
Well, I'm going to see what happens when I mute everybody. That's waiting for Jason to get back on. Crazy.
I must not want to hear him.
You hear it twice.
Good morning. Okay, I'll send it to you right now. I'll text them to you. Okay, I'll text them to you right now. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'll text them to you.
Hello?
Okay. Jason on here now? Jason
on here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here, Carmen. I'm here, Carmen.
Okay. We're going to start here by making you the co-host. And we're going to mute everybody. And does that work a little better? Yeah.
Only hearing one of you.
Now you're only hearing one of me?
Yeah, before it was like repeating. That was weird.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. Good morning, Jason. How are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic. If I was any better, I'd be twins, but I am a twin, so I can't say that to people.
Oh, are you really a twin?
That's going to be the first thing everybody doesn't know about me. Yes, I'm a twin, fraternal. We don't look anything alike.
My God. If we could have a whole new set of questions, we would have known that.
I'll pass. I plead the fifth.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to start off by this thing is recording right now. So listen, I want to thank you, Jason, for taking your time out of your busy schedule. We all know what it's like right now. We're all busier than we've ever been. And trying to get yourself through this incredibly interesting situation that we're going through. So I want to thank you for coming on the call this morning. I know we got a lot of really great questions for you. And hopefully we're going to get a chance to get to know Jason Wolbers a little bit better. And, see what makes the big man tick and all the good things about it. So are you ready for this, big boy?
I am ready.
Okay, well, we're going to start off with a nice and simple, easy question for you. And that is, what year did you start in direct sales?
I started in May 1995. So this next month will be 25 years.
God, you don't look old enough to be in the direct sales business 25 years. My God, that's amazing.
I started young. I was very young. Okay.
So what type of work experience did you have before direct sales?
Okay, so before direct sales, when we lived over in Iowa, I'm from where Tom Spear lives. I'm from Dubuque, Iowa. That's where I grew up, born and raised. And so there's a lot of farming over there and stuff like that. So when my brothers and I were younger, we always worked, always. We were the kind of guys that, we went around with shovels and shoveled people's snow when we were, 10, 11, 12 years old. Whatever we could do. We had 3 paper routes that we split. We helped each other out, did these 3 paper routes. And then in the summertime, there was this farmer over in East Dubuque, Illinois, just across the Mississippi River. We went over there and we picked sweet corn and tomatoes for him all summer long, a couple different summers. And then beyond that, when I became quote unquote old enough to get a job in Iowa, I don't know what it's like up in Canada or where everybody else lives here, but in Iowa, if you ain't working when you're like 12 or 13, I also was a busboy and a dishwasher at a restaurant when I was like below 14. I wasn't even 14 years old yet, and I had several jobs. But the key job I had that kind of helped build my skill set up for this, I worked in a shoe store as a floor sales rep for 2.5 years in high school.
Wow.
And that's the job that got me used to talking to people every single day.
Fantastic. That's a good piece of information to know. Did you always want to be in sales, or did you have another career path in mind growing up?
Yep, I did. I had 2 options for me. One was either I wanted to get into radio, and I still to this day kind of have that dream deep down inside of me to do.
Well, you've got a face for radio. Honest to God, you do.
I know I do, Carmen. Thank you. I truly do. But yeah, I mean, even as most recently as like 2 or 3 years ago, we were at a high school basketball game, and I took my picture next to the banner for the radio station. And I told Tara, I'm like, yeah, I still kind of have that down inside, but now it would be more of a hobby because they get paid squat in that business. And that's the biggest reason that I didn't pursue it. We looked into it in high school to go to the school. And for the money you would have had to pay to go to that school, it would have been like an 18-month program, I think. It wouldn't have been worth it. You'd have came out and made minimum wage. And I was never interested in the minimum wage. So sales was my other option, and that's what I chose.
Absolutely awesome. So when did you realize that this was the life for you and Tara?
Well, to be honest with you, because I had a little bit of an unfair advantage because my dad had already been doing it for 10 years. But I had decided this was going to be what I was going to do for the rest of my life before I started. I had an interesting confidence for an 18-year-old young man. I really did. I never doubted myself. I always believed in myself and believed that I could do whatever it was I wanted to do. And I mean, I never excelled in sports or anything like that. So when I got into sales, man, I went gangbusters because I found something that I was good at and I enjoyed it. And talking to people always came real natural to me. I never had any problem. So I guess this isn't meant to be egotistical in any way, shape, or form. I'm just being honest. Because of my dad's experience, I think that gave me the confidence to just know that I could do it as a career. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
Did you ever go to any conventions or any regional meetings with your dad before you got into this when you were younger?
I did, yeah. More like not really the actual meetings. We stayed home and threw parties at the house when they were doing those. But no, I went to our whole family would go to those. They used to have a summer workshop, and a lot of times they would take us to that, like a vacation. And so yes, we went to some. And even when I didn't go, though, my parents would both tell you this. I always had this interest in what they did. I asked a lot of questions, like on a regular basis. I watched for my dad to get home at night. As a matter of fact, my mom tells the story that I used to go up in their bedroom because their bedroom faced the front of the home where my dad would pull up in front of the house at the end of the day. And he had this Pontiac Bonneville that had this loud motor. It was a really nice car, but at any rate, I could hear him coming from a half block away, and I'd run over to that window to see if he had empty boxes.
First sign of a sale, absolutely.
Yeah, so I took an interest at a young age.
Well, what was it like going to your very first convention? How old were you?
My very first convention, I would have been 19 years old. And I was in the business already. And going into that convention, I had been international champion, I think 3 out of the first 5 months in the business that I've been doing it. So I started in August of 95 full-time. And I was international champion 3 out of those 5 months. So I went into that convention on cloud 9. I was on fire. And after I don't know that this had ever happened before, but after 5 months in the business, the president of the company at the time asked me to give a speech at the convention. And I got up there. I swear to God, I did this. I got up there on the stage in front of everybody. I was probably the youngest man in the room. And I looked at everybody else and I said, "You're competing for second place this year." I did. And they were.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. That is great, buddy. Bruce would like to know, what is it like working with your dad?
Working with my dad has been a real pleasure. He is he's a good leader, and he's got a whole bunch of things that he's super good at that I'm not. And so I feel like we've kind of offset each other over the years, where I have skill sets that he may not. He has skill sets that I don't. We've been able to work well off of those. Now, to say that working with your dad's not a challenge would be the understatement of the century. And my dad would say the same thing about working with his son. Obviously there's the family element there, and there's the emotion that gets involved sometimes. But overall, for 25 years we've been together, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Bruce would like to know, how long did it take you to become a divisional director from the moment that you started?
Okay, so first, as far as to become a divisional director, I got some of these things written down. I'll just tell you this. I was a safety advisor for a little longer than most people would be, probably because of my age, because I was working for my mom and dad, things like that. I feel like those things factored in. But I was a safety advisor for about 5.5 years. And then I became a dealer right after that. And I was just a regular dealer. Didn't do too much recruiting or anything like that at first. I mean, honestly, for like 10 years, I was a personal sales dealer that maybe had one good salesperson with me. But we were all full-time at that time. There was no part-time program in Global at that time. So, you didn't have as many recruits. It wasn't like it is today. A big office might have 5 recruits.
Right.
And they would do a lot of volume. So I had 1 or 2 recruits almost all the time. But then it took me about 10 more years after that. It took me about 10 years to start recruiting and building dealerships, like where I started getting people that I was putting out. Like I put out my first dealer probably after I'd been a dealer for like 10 years. So it took a few more years after that to become a director. So I'm estimating here, but I would say it probably took me a little longer than most. I'm a slow learner, Carmen, but probably the better part of 15 years before I had dealers.
Okay. Well, I definitely wouldn't think you're a slow learner at all. I thought you pick up things pretty quickly. What motivates you each day?
Well, what motivates me, I think deep down inside, is the desire to be successful. I don't think I said this, but I love sports. It wasn't that I didn't love them. Okay. I just didn't really excel in them. I did pretty good in some sports, but just never really, I wasn't like the top guy in sports, and I wanted to be, I had that desire. So that deep down desire to prove to people, and maybe just to prove to myself that, hey, I'm a winner and I can be a champion at something. And I think that's the cool thing about this opportunity. It allows all of us to have this opportunity to be really good at something. This was just my something, I think, and everybody has that. You just have to find what it is.
Well, you sound like a real competitive person.
You
sound like a real competitive person.
I am competitive, but I will say this, not to a fault. Like, I'm competitive, but I heard Brett Granger say recently that being number one isn't everything. That's a byproduct of the hard work. That's kind of how I am. Like, I am more the type of person that competes against my goals. Like, I put those goals up there, and I want to hit those goals. And if that's number 2 or 3 for that year, not number 1, that's fine. I hardly ever set a goal to be number 1. My goals are more based on, hey, what kind of volume do I want to do? How many protections do we want to make this month? It's more about like competing with us, but I have found that we've ended up number 1 and 2 quite often because we do set lofty goals.
Okay, that's good. That's very, very good, C. So what would you say is one of the secrets to your success?
Probably the fact that I never give up no matter what. There have been many, many, many times in my career where I could have. Trust me, lots of stuff. Just like you, Carmen, just like everyone on this call, no one's separated there. We're not special in that area. Everyone's dealt with their fair share of BS in your life, right? And we definitely, people look at us sometimes and they think, oh, they're so successful, blah, blah, blah. They've never had any problems. Well, I'll tell you something, man. On the ladder of success, there's a lot of rungs missing. And you got to be able to climb 3 and 4 rungs at a time, and like fall on your frickin' face and get back on that broken ladder and go back to the top. And probably the fact that Tara and I just have that attitude that no matter what, man, you can knock us down, but you can't keep us there.
Fantastic. That's awesome. So how long have you and Tara been married now?
We've been married 21 years, 22 years this September. And we have your follow-up on that, I think, was how many kids do we have, right?
Yeah.
We have 2.
How old are they?
Abigail is 20. She's a sophomore in college at Bowling Green State University, about 20 miles north of us. And Dylan is a senior in high school. So he gets the unfortunate, he's one of them kids that was born the year our country was attacked on 9/11. He was born that year. He was born just a few weeks after that attack, and then he's graduating during the pandemic.
So he might have something in common there. No doubt about it. Now, Abigail's going to university 20 miles north of you. Is she living at the university or living at home?
She's living on campus. Yeah, she's got an apartment this year, but she's home now because they're doing it from home now. But yeah, she lives there. We wanted her to get the full experience.
You do know what the campus full experience is, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
As a father, how does that make you feel?
It's fine because we trust her.
Oh, I'm never.
We just don't trust
her. I don't have a
We
problem.
don't trust those boys.
That's exactly it. Okay, how have you been keeping yourself busy during this time?
Well, that's a lot of things, but the biggest thing I think that we're doing is understanding that I think your life is revolved around a few things, and one is your mind, another one is your body, and another one is your spirit. And so we are literally making sure in our home, at least, and I'm really promoting this to our team, is those are the three areas that we try to focus on every single day, no matter what. And we do allow ourselves, don't get me wrong, to slow down and watch Netflix like the rest of the world's doing. But we're not those people that are going to lay around on the couch all day long and watch Netflix. There's no damn way that's happening in my house. We're doing things that are going to promote growth when this is over. Reading a lot, reading every single day. Tara and I are reading a book on investing together, and we're taking notes the whole way through. I started doing some investing on my own about 3 years ago, so I figured now's a good time to dig a little deeper into that and learn a little bit more about it. So we're doing that, but obviously with our business, we're putting that first and foremost because we want that to continue to grow. Just because we're on pause right now doesn't mean we're on stop. So we're doing just like you, Carmen, we're doing everything we can. Like our region's doing 3 calls a week now instead of 1, and I know you ramped up to 5, and we're ramped up to 3 from 1. We usually do a call on Monday. Now we're doing 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're doing a Facebook Live with our team every Monday night at 6:30. We're doing Zoom call training on Wednesday night at 6:30. We're doing a book club on Thursday night at 6:30 with our team. Everybody in our division's invited, and they all can jump on and learn. And then I'm calling Taylor Kilborn and I were messaging a couple of weeks ago about some stuff. And she asked me, what are you doing in this time? And I told her that one of the things I'm doing with my team is the full-time people and the marketers. The people that really will still be here, right? I'm making sure I call them every few days instead of just texting and stuff like that, and just having a little chat with them, making sure they're doing okay. So just staying in good communication, and then looking to outside sources. Like, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, and I don't love Grant Cardone, but I do like him. I like learning from him. If you can put push the ego to the side that guy has, he's got a lot to teach salespeople. So I've been listening to him. Gary Vee, I listen to him some only because he's motivational. He's positive. So podcasting, a lot of podcasting, and taking long 3 to 4 mile walks 7 days a week. And when I'm doing that, that's helping my body, right? But it's also helping my mind because I'm listening to podcasts. So lots of stuff, just staying really, really busy mentally, especially.
That's awesome. That's really, really good. Now, it's great to have you on this morning, especially after you started your introduction with being #1 worldwide 3 out of 5 for your first 5 months full time. So this is a good question for you. What is one of your favorite tie downs in your demonstration?
Okay, let me ask you a favor, Carmen, before I show you the price, okay? I'm going to go over the price with you. Now, I promised you earlier in this presentation, Carmen, this is the part you don't want to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know what I'm getting to right now, right? I'm going to show you that price right there. So I'm going to ask you guys a favor before I do that, though, okay? The favor is real, real simple. If you like the products and you like me and you like our company and you want to go ahead and do this and protect your family, that's fine. Let's do it. If you do not like the products, or you don't like me, or you don't like our company for whatever reason, Carmen, do me a favor and just tell me no. That's fine. But don't tell anybody else you don't like us, okay? The favor I'm going to ask of you, though, and there's a reason I'm going to ask you this, so hold out till the end, okay? The favor I'm going to ask of you is please do not tell me you want to think about it. The reason I'm asking you that, Carmen, is real simple. I have found in my career doing this business that there are 2 times most people are going to think seriously enough about having a fire to do something about it. One time is right now while I'm here showing you this protection, a better way to protect your family. Would you guys agree with me that you thought about it today?
Yes.
All right, now let me ask you the more serious question. When do you think the next time is you're going to think about having a fire?
Probably when I have one.
When it's too late. That's right. So that's the only favor I'm going to ask of you. If you like it, you love it, and you want it, let's do it. If you don't, just tell me no, that's fine. We'll part ways. Is that fair enough?
That's awesome.
Boom. Now you show them the price right after that. So many people have taken that close, right, that pre-close, and ruined it because they try using it in different spots. The only time to use that is right before you show the numbers, literally immediately before you show them. Another one I like to use, I'll give you two. The other one I like to use is, Carmen, let me ask you a question. And you can do this anytime after you start showing the products. You can use this pre-close anytime after you start showing the products. You can't really ask it before that, though. It won't make sense. But let me ask you a question, Carmen. What do you think the worst thing is that would happen if you went ahead and did this today? What's the worst thing that can happen if you did this? I've already told you they're not going to be cheap, right?
Wasted my money?
Yeah, maybe a waste of money, right? But let me ask you a question, a more serious question. What's the worst thing that could happen to you guys if you don't do it?
I think that's an obvious answer. One of us
is
hurt really badly in a fire. Or
That's
worse.
right. Someone could get hurt. One time a lady said to her husband right in front of me, she said, honey, we've spent way more money on far inferior products. And that's basically, and I'll use that third party. I use that a lot. I'll say that because I was in a home one time and the lady looked at him and said, we spend money on all kinds of things we don't need, honey. Why can't we spend some money on something we might need? This is the advice I'll give you, Region, because I know you guys are still fairly new to OmniShield. The best thing you can do in this business if you want to sell more products and get your recruits selling more is focus on the nighttime killer fire. Nighttime. You don't just talk about fire. You talk about fires throughout your whole presentation that happen at night. Every time you talk about a fire, you talk about a fire happening in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're sound asleep. That's what creates fear. And we're not ambulance chasers here, guys. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to tell you, you have to get them to fear fire if you want them to invest in this. So everything you say has to be, you've got to create urgency here. Does that make sense, Carmen?
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, this next question might be a little bit similar to what you just went over, but what success lesson did you learn as a safety advisor?
Listen to your dealer. Is that enough said?
Your parents, it's the hardest thing for people to do.
It is, but I'm going to tell you something, man. Don't learn the hard way. You don't have to. In this business, you do not have to learn the hard way. Your dealer is not a dealer for no reason. If a dealer gets to the point where they have an office and they're recruiting, they should be a dealer. They've sort of arrived at least to that level, okay? They've earned that right. They wouldn't be able to afford an office rent if they, you know what I mean? They've done something right if they have a physical space and they're recruiting people and growing a business. You need to listen to them. It would not be in their best interest to give you bad advice. So that's the biggest lesson I learned. I did not always listen.
Awesome. I couldn't say it better myself. What success lesson did you learn as a trainer?
Okay, this is going to lead us into that David Carter question later. The thing I learned as a trainer is only give them spoonfuls of information at a time. You try heaving the whole freaking, pitcher of drink on top of them. You give them one drink at a time, man. One scoop of food at a time, and then let them go use it. When we overtrain, we don't train at all because they can't remember any of it.
Absolutely.
Simplify.
Gems, absolutely gems. And what success lesson did you learn as a dealer so far?
As a dealer, probably the biggest thing I've learned is to save your money. You're going to make money. If you make it to the dealer level, you've definitely proven that you can sell the products, right? I mean, nobody's going to promote you to a dealer if you can't sell. So you can definitely sell the products, and you probably have some sort of marketing ability, and you can get yourself into homes. So making money usually isn't an issue for a dealer, making money. It's what you do with the money is what I've learned the most as the dealer. Because for a long, long time, we did not save our money at all. And I've never had a problem telling people the truth. Even if it was like, admitting that I was doing stupid things. It doesn't matter. As long as you learn from it, it doesn't matter. It becomes a lesson. And people that won't admit stuff like that, Carmen, aren't going to help their team either, because how are you supposed to help your team if you can't be honest about your failings in the past? But we never saved money for a long, long time, and then we started, and it's made a big difference. Like, it really helps you in a situation, especially like, how could you ever have predicted something like right now is going to happen,
Ain't that the truth?
It
Absolutely.
is.
If someone was to ask you who has no experience whatsoever and they were to say to you, what are some of the keys to in-home recruiting?
Okay, that's a good one. That's a really good question. I love in-home recruiting. And I think it's really fun to do it. The biggest key to it is to do it on every demo. I always tell our team, and don't get me wrong, I don't think everybody on our team does it on every demo. I'm not saying they do. I teach them, I promote them to do that on every demo though. If I'm doing demos, I'm recruiting on every demo. I don't care if they're 85 years old. I know I'm not going to recruit them. I'm not stupid, but I want to keep the process the same. So with the 85-year-olds, I'll say, hey, do you have any sons or daughters or grandkids that might be interested in something like this? I'm looking to grow. Now, I've never ever recruited somebody doing that. I'm just being honest, but it keeps me sharp and it keeps me to remember every demo. You say that. I think this is what I believe about recruiting in the home. Would you ever go into a home, Carmen, show the product, spend all that time, and then not show them the price and just get up and leave?
Of course not.
No, nobody on this Zoom call would, or listening to it on record, right? There's no way. Nobody would do that. That would be ludicrous, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, think about the process the same way. Why in the world would you go into a home with perfectly eligible recruits and not tell them you were looking for people? So my thing with recruiting is you can suck at doing it, but as long as you do it often enough, someone's coming to the office.
Absolutely.
So do it on every home. You'll get better. You'll get better. Keep asking your dealer, your team leader, your coworkers, people that are better at you, better at recruiting than you are. If you just keep asking and then keep asking people that are better than you how to get better at it. And eventually you'll start seeing success from it. We've got a couple people in our office that are consistently bringing in good recruits and no one else is. Why is that? Because they ask on every demo.
Absolutely. Just ask.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better. That is great. Great stuff. What is your goal for 2020? Now, hopefully, 2020 left after all this.
Well, this is another thing. You got to, if you want to be a good leader, you have to be honest with people, right? Well, my goals are being completely rethought and rewritten right now, so I can't really tell you for sure because we're currently not working. And we are in the process. Tara and I have done a lot of talking, especially this past weekend. It's funny you're asking me that question because we are going to completely revamp and rewrite our goals. This is one thing I can tell you. Our goals are going to be based on recruiting for the rest of the year. That's going to be our primary focus because I fully believe that when a new recruit comes into the office, they bring in 6. Carmen, we had a Zoom call last week, didn't we? Me and you and my dad and David and Gary, Frank. And we talked about this. They bring in 6 to 10 people they can get you into. And that's going to be really important for a good lead generation tool. Not only is it lead generation, but you're bringing the person as a recruit too. So you're going to get to go into some homes with them, show the products to their family and friends. So you're getting the opportunity to make a commission yourself, right? But then you're teaching them how to do it. So I can just tell you that our goals are mainly going to be focused on how many qualified recruits we want to get. And I do think the numbers, obviously we're going to put a number to it as well, a unit count. We always do. And those numbers I think the best way to hit those numbers is just like always is going to be to recruit.
Absolutely fantastic.
So I can't give you specifics, and I am the type of person that would, if I had them right now, I would. I honestly would. I wouldn't hold back, but I'm just redoing them so much to the point right now I don't want to give you the goals that I had initially because they're going to change and lose in 2 months.
Fair enough. That's awesome. Now you and Tara would be considered almost a power couple in GHS. Who pushes you harder, yourself or Tara?
Okay, that's a double-edged sword because Tara pushes me. She definitely pushes me, but here's the thing. She knows she doesn't have to. Is that fair?
That's perfect.
Yeah, she supports me, and she's a big part of our business, but I don't have to, drive her either. No one has to get her up in the morning and no one has to get me up in the morning and say, hey, you better go to the office, you better go make something happen. We're just both very self-motivated, but that comes from a lot of, hard times, man. We've been broke and we don't want to ever be broke again. So let's just put it this way, Carmen. I think this is the best answer. We drive each other equally.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. April would like to know, how did you and Tara meet?
Well, we met in high school, and we went to high school together. We never dated in high school, but we started dating right after high school, literally. Like, I was moving to Indiana with my parents to get in the sales business, right? They were moving right as I graduated high school. And Tara, it's so weird. We had about a 10-day window where we could start dating, and we did.
Wow.
We did, and we dated long distance for a couple of years, and then she moved out to where I lived. And then we got engaged and married. So
You saw an opportunity and took it.
best decision of my life. No question about it.
Now, a lot of the people on this call wouldn't be familiar with this because you've been around since Noah built the ark when it comes to this business. You've seen a lot of changes. How exciting has it been watching OmniShield grow with the water sensors and the comm links and the bed shakers?
Yeah. It's been fun, to say the least. It's really interesting because we sold this, guys, we call it a single station smoke detector. Okay, that's what we used to sell. A little 9-volt battery operated smoke alarm with a mechanical heat detector and a real pretty red fire extinguisher. That's what we started with back in the day. And then they added a CO alarm a little bit later. But man, the one thing I can tell you is, global health and safety is definitely on the cutting edge, and they are willing to spend the money to get us the best products. And that's the one thing that this has really exposed, is that Mr. and Mrs. Jones are willing to open up the checkbook when necessary to grow this business. And you should all feel real confident in that, because it's just so crazy. It's so easy now to go into a home and be like, look, we're different. We don't have a monitoring fee. Yes, you pay for the product and you pay a premium for our product, but you should, for this reason, this reason, this reason. But see, we have those extra angles now that we can take, and those extra, there's just so many more features and benefits now than there's ever been. And obviously in sales, features and benefits are important. Your attitude's the most important thing. Don't get me wrong. And leads are probably next because you have to have a home to go to. But man, features and benefits mean something to these consumers. They can jump online while you're doing the presentation and search other products now. They couldn't do that when I first started. They couldn't research like they can now. So you let them go ahead and research. They are not going to find anything better or more diverse than what we have. There's no way. Okay, if they started researching, Carmen, when I'm sitting in their home and they pulled up ADT or whatever, I'd say with confidence, I have that in my house for security, but I would never use their fire protection. The freaking thing's $250, $300 an alarm for something that's going to last about 10 years. It's not the same level of quality. They can buy that same alarm a whole bunch of different places. Okay. So I almost invite them to say that, and then I'll look at them and say, well, do you really want to be spending $30, $40, $50, $60, $75 for the rest of your life per month to have that system hooked up? See, you really got to take advantage of two things, I think. One is the free monitoring. Nobody else is really offering that. Even the cheap ones are like 10, 15 bucks a month forever. Guys, that never goes away. And then the second thing, I don't think enough people take advantage of this either, Carmen. I don't even know why this just hit me, but man, remember their people's pets when you're in their home. The text, so many people want to be like, well, the text alerts will save your property. Maybe. There ain't no guarantee it's going to save their property, but their text alerts could save their dog, cat, or bird. They love the dog, cat, and bird more than they love the house, guys. Remember that. Use those pets. That text alert could save the life of their pet. We'll put your neighbor on, or two of your neighbors on your text alerts. They get the text alert, you're not home. They can run over, open the door, get your dog out. That's important, guys. When you're rapport building, look around for pets. That's an advantage that we have never had before. As we can now have pets.
That is amazing, and you're absolutely true, because just the pet treat market is a multi-billion-dollar market just so they can give the pet a little treat after a walk or something like that. And those things are expensive as crazy.
Right.
People have no problem spending it, none.
One of the biggest shows in the state of Ohio is a pet show in the state capitol. It's a pet show. It's all about pets, and it's really popular.
Yeah, I love going there, and the pets usually look like their owners, so it's
exactly.
one of those moments. Okay,
we have a Shih Tzu. He's got an underbite, I guess.
Absolutely. Another great question from April. What would you say would be the top five topics that new dealers need to do every day?
Well, they need to balance and reconcile their checkbook for sure. I'm sure that Canada is the same as the U.S. I think QuickBooks is probably the same there, only using the Canadian dollar. You need to watch your money real close, okay? You need to manage your inventory. Make sure you have what you need. Okay. So in the dealer manual, in the, that little dealer booklet they have, it teaches you to take the money and put it all into one account at the top, right? And there's an oval. That's your business checking account. So the first thing I would say is balance that every day, or at least once a week, reconcile it, make sure the money's right. I know dealers still to this day that don't even do that. They just trust the balance that it says is in there. Well, how do you know what's in there? You might have 16 transactions that are still going to happen. And that's how you end up with a negative balance. So the second thing I would say is take the advice of that dealer booklet and start with the money all in one account, the master checking, and then boof, boof, boof. You got these savings accounts for inventory, sales tax. Do you have sales tax up there, Carmen?
Yep.
Okay. Inventory, sales, and I know a lot of you live in the U.S. too. So inventory, sales tax. You might have meetings and incentives and things like that. Maybe put $10 an alarm in there. Anything you think you can't trust yourself to not spend, you got to put it into a separate category. So those two things I'm just telling you things that were huge for us when we changed to that system. It made life a lot easier. So five total things that new dealers should do. One is meet with your marketing director if you have one. Get on the same page with the person that's leading your phone calling. Definitely do that. And then another thing is, whether you're meeting in person or via phone call, guys, I know we live in the 2020, and I know that texting's big, 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 and I use it a lot. But you got to remember, there's a time and a place for a text, and there's a time and a place for a call, an actual phone call where you speak to them, don't text them. So many problems could be avoided by calling somebody as opposed to texting them. Okay. Texting starts arguments real fast because they can't see your emotion in it. We've learned the hard way there. So I would say number 4, contact your key people that are in your sales department. If you have a sales manager, you should be talking to them every single day. That'd be number 4. And number 5, motivate your team every day and yourself. If it's just you, and if for some of you, it probably is just you, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It was just me for a long time, and I made plenty of money. I just didn't want to have to run all the demos anymore, and I wanted to grow and help other people, so I started growing. But you got to motivate yourself first. Zig Ziglar used to say motivation is like taking a shower. If you don't do it every day, you're going to stink. It's true.
Okay, absolutely. What were some of the mistakes that you made?
The mistakes that we made mostly had to do with the way we handled our money. If you can't tell by everything I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking there's a recurring theme going on there. So lots of sales, no problem getting sales, no problem getting all that type of stuff, just holding on to it.
Yeah, I never had, that was one of the problems too. Sometimes when you're a really, really high level, championship level salesperson, it's so easy to make the money that when you make it, you think it's always going to come in at that level. You're like, it's going to be easy. That's the way I felt like when I was young. Oh, it's easy to make money. I can make an easy 1,000 or 2,000 every single week just selling. So we're fine. Well, you're not fine when you go into a bit of a slump, and you will. I don't care how good you are, because you might not go into a talent slump, but you might go into an attitude slump. There's different slumps out there, guys. You could go into a lead generation slump. You ain't got no leads. Well, it don't matter how. I'd take a lead generating salesperson over a good one any day. I'd take one that could keep leads in my house as opposed to somebody that could close every deal but never has anybody to go show. So I would just say watch the money. The money is the biggest mistakes that we made. Now, fortunately, we don't make those anymore. We started to listen. And so I guess ultimately, whatever mistakes you're making, own them and admit them and talk to people about them. But you don't talk to everybody about them, though. It's okay for me to talk to you guys now because they're over. That was in the past. I can tell the world. We can learn from it now. When you're going through it, it's embarrassing. So you don't call up everybody in the company and admit you got problems right now. You contact Carmen. He's your leader. Or the person that promoted you if you're a dealer, or your dealer if you're a safety advisor. Keep that kind of stuff internal, but do go to the people that can and will help you. That's probably what we didn't do out of embarrassment too many times. That's another thing that hurts when you're working with your dad and mom. It's real hard to go to them with stuff like that because you do not want to disappoint them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super.
Okay, April's got a little bit of a question here that's going to probably put you on the line. If you had to choose one, Team Eagle or Team International Lifesavers?
Sorry, Gary. Gary's watching this on playback. I apologize. Carmen, I'd follow you wherever you were rolling, brother. You got a special place in my heart, dude, and so do a lot of your people now. I've gotten to know Brett, and I've gotten to know Taylor a little bit. I've gotten to know April and Jim really, really good, and Chris Putnam and Bruce and Darren, a few others, but especially those guys, and of course you in Pennsylvania. I'll never forget that week we were together. And so it's easy for me only because I have more of a relationship with you. I love Gary. I just don't know him as well.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we appreciate that. There's no question about that. What's your favorite inspirational movie?
Well, I'll tell you something. After I watched Rudy last night, it's hard to deny with those tears in my eyes streaming at the end of it that wasn't extremely inspirational. And my dad's a huge Notre Dame fan. My father-in-law likes Notre Dame, and my best friend's a monster Notre Dame fan. I would definitely say that's way, way, way high up on the list. We Are Marshall was really, really good too. I love football. So those two movies probably. Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. Oh my gosh, what a story there. He was a salesman, so that's kind of interesting too. But Pursuit of Happiness actually might be number one because of his career and stick-to-itiveness and stuff. Never give up attitude. But then those sports movies get me every time.
That's awesome. A favorite motivational or sales book? I know you read a lot.
I do read a lot. That makes it even harder to pick, I think. But once again, anytime you can mix sports with a lesson for me is probably going to be a good one for me. So I really like Wins, Losses, and Lessons. I'm actually looking at it in my bookshelf right now. Wins, Losses, and Lessons by Lou Holtz, former Notre Dame coach. He won a national championship there in 1988. Lou Holtz is small in stature and mighty, and he's just so mighty. He's such a good guy. You want to read – I'm reading another one of his books that David Carter suggested recently, right now, as a matter of fact. But this Wins, Losses, and Lessons, he talks about a story about his wife got sick with cancer, and instead of giving up on life, he immediately called a contractor and started doing an addition on the home to keep her mind. It's full of things like that. Like, just it's not really about football. But he talks about football. But, man, it's a biography, and it's just really, really good.
Fantastic. What do you do to continuously improve?
Just the podcast, staying hooked into stuff like this, getting on everything the Global Health and Safety puts out or our region, going to all meetings. I think we've missed one meeting to date in our whole career, and it's because Tara was pregnant about ready to give birth to Abby, our first child, and I missed a national convention because she was due like any day. But other than that, just staying plugged in is so important. And let me just address this real fast because this has happened to me so many times. I don't really understand the logic of it anymore because I'm so far beyond it. But, man, I remember I used to get on calls and stuff, and when I was negative or down, and it just almost made me more negative and down. And I'm just going to encourage those of you that feel that way right now, just push through it. The only reason I think it makes you more negative and down is because you're down already, and then you hear about people doing good, and it maybe doesn't serve you well, but it does serve you well. Take that and learn from it and be like, you know what, man, that person will be the one that's down next time, and I'll be the one talking, So stay plugged in. Staying plugged in is very important in this business, no matter how you feel at the time. You might be feeling down and out. Don't beat yourself up if you get on a call and you roll your eyes a couple times. Who cares? You're human. That guy's not better than me. Well, you're probably right. He might not be better, or she might not be better, but she's working harder, or she's got better leads. Well, why don't you just open your mind and listen, take notes, and learn from that person that day instead of getting disgruntled about it. I've been there, though.
Absolutely. Hard not to be there once in a while. You were on the roads. You've obviously had a lot of demonstrations. Do you have a particular demo or protection that you've made that's really memorable?
Oh, hell yes. I went to North Carolina, one of David's last years in the business. And now, if you can imagine this, David Carter and I went and did a demo together.
That would be wild.
Oh, my God. To say it was a shit show is it was the most fun I've ever had doing a demo. They were really cool people. The man, it was like a retired couple, and the lady's sister was there, and the grandkid was homesick from school that day. So David would do a little of the demo, then I'd do a little of the demo, and then we'd make the little boy sing part of the demo. I'm not kidding you. You can't make this crap up. So this little boy, we were having so much fun with him. He was quote unquote sick. The kid wasn't any sicker than I am right now. I feel great. He was clearly not sick. This kid was having a blast with us. He was lying to his mommy. Told her he was sick, so he got to go to grandma's and stay home from school. So David and I, it was so fun that he was there because we had a blast with him, and then that showed the mom and dad, the grandparents, that we cared. You know, we just showed, we paid so much attention to that little boy and had so much fun with him. We were literally reading a page, and then we'd make the little kids sing what we just read. And then the daughter comes over, and we're like, oh, crap, you know. So David dealt with the daughter while I did the walkthrough, and it was just the most fun tandem demo I've ever done in my life. I mean, we were like singing. We might have even danced. I don't even remember, but it just goes to show you, if you have a positive attitude and you want to have fun, you can have fun on demos. David and I proved it that day. It was so. There was another demo one time where I was walking up to the front porch. And I was singing something about how good our products were, just goofing around because they were waiting for me at the door. I swear to God. I was just joking, just having fun. I think I did have a recruit with me, and I like goofing around when recruits are with me, just showing them, hey, you can do something like this and then still go in there and sell something. So just like demos that were the most fun are the most memorable for me, were probably where I've done the stupidest things, like just off the wall crap just to prove I could.
That sounds like great. I wish you would have been able to tape that. Marco Polo should have been.
Oh, me too.
That would have been awesome.
I know.
David Tarter talks very often of struggling early on in his career with his office and then coming to your office. What did you say or do to pick him up?
Real simple. Loved on him. We went out to dinner and had a couple beers every night we were there. We had fun. But when we trained, see, I didn't really have to do anything, and I knew that. And it's just like when I went down to David's office, he didn't have to do anything, and he knew that too. He just needed camaraderie. At that time, he just needed a little more structure. And all he learned, first of all, he learned that he had someone that cared about him. And I learned that. We went back and forth to each other's offices a couple of times. But the biggest thing David learned, and he'll tell you this, is to keep the training simple. He was trying to teach them everything he knew in 3 days. I was trying to teach them everything they needed to know to get past their mom and dad and their sister and brother-in-law, and keeping it very simple and trusting the flip chart to do the rest and the call in and call out.
Wow.
That's it. We had a good time. We loved on each other, and he watched me train, and he learned that it was way, way more simple than what his was. That was it. That was the nugget he needed.
Sometimes something as simple as that, Just that little thing.
Yeah, then I went back out to his office a while later and had to relearn it myself. You know what I mean? I'm serious. Oh, man, I've complicated my own training.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, there's been a lot of changes with the product, but now we've got a great, a steady product. But there's also been a lot of other changes. What type of changes have you seen in the last maybe 3 or 4 years? Because, I mean, there's a lot of direct sale companies that are struggling, and GHS is just going from strength to strength to strength. From the back office to the global peak training to the conventions, everything just seems to be getting bigger and better and stronger. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it starts with the leadership, with Ray and Tony Jones and Brent and AV. We couldn't have better, founders. Let's put it that way. Owners of the company. AV included in that, Ray and Tony, Brent, and AV, and Wanda. Wanda's passed away now, but she had a lot to do with everything that we do right now, and everybody should know that. These guys pioneered everything that we're doing right now. And this is the thing. They made enough money and saved enough money to where now they can make an impact anytime they need to. They have the money to put a new product on the market next year if we were forced into it. And I really do think that is the core of what's been going on, is they're all about growth. But the other thing is recruiting. Chris came in and he knew the company was stagnant. He knew that recruiting, he knew that we were either going to start recruiting or we probably were going to be very small. We probably would have still existed, but we would have been really small. So people like you guys came in, people like Gary came in and helped the rest of us realize there is a true opportunity here that we need to be sharing with other people. So I would say leadership at the very, very top level, and then coming down even not just, the owners and founders, but Chris Roberts and Becky and David and Christy, and you're included in that, my dad and Gary, and all just the leadership here. And some of your people have said it on their interviews recently. The leadership here is so insanely awesome. And it sounds like it's better than the places they came from. I wouldn't know, but I just know that I love it.
Absolutely awesome. I know we have a call in about 8 minutes. We're going to try to wrap this up a little bit quicker. A couple of questions I want to ask you. In my experience, in order for people to grow very much like nature, they have to change. You take crabs, you take snakes, you take spiders, you take all these things. They got to shed their old shell to grow new ones that get bigger and better. In your experience, why do you feel people resist change and how they can affect to actually get their own true potential?
I think the main reason people resist change, and the main reason that I would, is just the fear of trying something new, like just stuck in the old way. That's a bad place to be. Stuck in the old. I've had to be really open-minded these last 5 years, and because I have been open-minded, it's been a benefit to me and everybody around me, because I have been open-minded. Everything they're telling me to do, I just freaking do it. I'm like, I'll trust it and do it, because there's no way it's going to make things worse. This is the thing. When you trust the people asking you to make the change, there shouldn't be any question in your mind. Just do it.
Awesome. Awesome. David and Chris had a goal this year, and that was to break down the wall at the convention. Did you feel that was going to happen?
Yes, I do. I really, really do. And your group is a big reason why. You guys have really done a good job with building and recruiting, and you have a lot of people. And we do too. Our region's growing right now, and Gary's too. So, I mean, you take those 3 regions, that would have been a pretty good sized room right there just in itself.
Absolutely.
Yes, their passion is really shining through, and so is the leaders of the company are doing a good job of getting everybody to believe in the growth.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on this call this morning. I know that we have a director's call in 6 minutes, so I really appreciate it. But one last comment from you. What would you like to say as a message to the International Lifesavers?
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to say is, man, I hope this convention pulls off. I don't think it's going to. I'm not being negative, but it's just, you guys, it's coming up so fast. And there's so much going on. And I've already said enough about education. Now let's motivate you guys. You guys did a kick-ass job last year. Congratulations. You deserve every freaking award you step up on there in that stage and get. And I hope that somehow, some way, we can still make it possible for you guys to get up there on a stage somewhere and get those awards, because I know many of you worked your tails off to earn that. So I would just like to say a huge congratulations, not only to Carmen, but to Carmen and to your entire group. You guys did a fantastic job leading from the front last year, and you motivated the living tarnation out of people like me.
Jason, thank you so much. Some of the wisdoms you gave this morning were absolutely awesome. So really very much appreciated. 2 contests this morning. The first contest is for How to Stay Motivated by Zig Ziglar. And there's 4 questions to answer. The first question is, and these are going to be some twists here, so see if anybody can figure them out. The first question, who is Eric Rodriguez? Who is Eric Rodriguez? Number 2, Sue Jenna's 1-year goal. What is Sue Jenna's 1-year goal? Number 3, how many protections did Bill Siddock get on his friends and family weekend? On his first weekend, did he get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? How many protections did Bill Siddock get? And number 4, Jeff said, aside from family, what drives him? Jeff Elledge said, aside from family, what drives him? That's the first contest. The second contest is, and it's more of a personal one, from the movie Rudy. What was the leadership lesson that was taught that without it, nothing would have happened and it wouldn't have mattered? Let's have a fantastic day. Everybody, thank you so much, Jason. You're absolutely amazing. Appreciate it. We'll get the recording out to everybody. Rock and roll, boys and girls.